We have the honor, and Chuck, you can speak wherever you want to speak, sir. You want to speak by the Jeep? You want to speak up here? Okay. Okay. We'll do that. I'll transition this over to him if you want to get that set up. Okay. And now let me just introduce our guest of honor, Chuck Kohler, Pearl Harbor veteran. He was there when Pearl Harbor was attacked. Now Chuck, yes. They attacked the wrong guy, I assure you that. Chuck Kohler was a tough farm kid from Minnesota at a time when 1% of the nation had access to indoor plumbing and electricity. So Chuck still found a way to become quite a handyman. He earned it. He had basically his own education there. He was determined to learn, and he did. And at 17, he left Minnesota and joined the Navy, found himself in Hawaii, a place that has a slightly different climate than Minnesota. So Chuck was there, April 1941. So as our enemies were planning to attack us, Chuck was busy working on aircraft as an aircraft machinist mate with an amphibian squadron, a PBY unit, right? So the PBY is basically a flying boat. Chuck was working on that and a number of other things. And on the day that Pearl Harbor was attacked, Chuck was actually up early, of course. He was an early riser. I believe he still is. He had breakfast, and he was learning how to use a typewriter in the personnel office to type a letter home. He was actually worried whether or not he had permission to do so. But as he was typing the letter, he heard aircraft. He thought some pilots were simply just doing some aerial maneuvers, hot dogging it. He figured they'd probably get in trouble for some of the maneuvers they were doing. But little did we know at the time, he quickly figured out that we were under attack. So his area was hit. Bombs fell nearby. He was injured. He was wounded by flying glass. He abandoned the typewriter at that point. I know he kind of wished he kept the letter that he was in the process of typing, but he had other things to do. He went outside to investigate to see if he can help. He perhaps thought it was an aviation mishap. Went outside and realized that we were under attack. Okay, the Japanese pilot, who I believe Chuck later met, had stated that he didn't encounter any resistance at first. Chuck took cover in a ditch with some other sailors. They had absolutely no organization and no leadership at the time. There was nobody orchestrating, telling them what to do. But they took initiative and did it on their own. Chuck wasn't going to sit there in the ditch. He's not that kind of individual. He could have waited it out. But they immediately opened the arms room, grabbed a .50 caliber machine gun, which is not exactly light, and ammunition, and they brought it to one of the PBY aircraft where they can mount it. And then they fought back. That Japanese pilot on his third pass encountered what we call heavy gunfire. There was one person shooting at him, and that was Chuck. So this is an individual that could shoot a bird in flight with a .22 rifle, and now figured, hey, what the heck, I'll figure out how to shoot down an airplane with a .50 caliber. So he inflicted damage, disrupted the attack. So we say that, and he would later, yeah, they make movies about this stuff, but that's simply historical record. Chuck was just simply doing his job, as he'll tell you. Many other members of our greatest generation, and that's basically how we won the war, that mentality of like, okay, we're under attack. I don't have any orders, not really sure what to do, never fired a .50 cal before, but this is a darn good time to learn how to use it. And he did, and it worked. After that, Chuck, of course, continued to serve in the Navy all over the Pacific. He had some close calls with mishaps and all sorts of other things. He's a petty officer, first class, and then later, actually a couple of years after the war, he was discharged and came home. Went to Minnesota and then came back here to California. We're blessed to have him with us. Now, before I turn this over to Chuck, I'll say one thing. I'm not sure where you get Chuck from E.J. Kohler, Earl J. Kohler, right? But since he joined the military, somebody just called him Chuck, and that's kind of the way it is. Hey, you're Chuck. Roger that. My name is Chuck. And that's how we have the name Chuck Kohler. Now, with Pearl Harbor, the Japanese had awakened a sleeping giant. But that's what they say. But Chuck was already awake and already ready to fight. They just pissed off the wrong sailor. Over to you, Chuck.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Is this thing working? Can you hear me? No? Okay. I am deeply honored and very, very appreciative to have this opportunity to stand before you today, not only as a living reminder of a long, long ago historical event, but also I'm honored to be here as a standing and speaking representative of over 2,400 other individuals who, because of that event, have been unable to stand or to speak for themselves for over 81 years past. Also, I stand before you in remembrance of over 10,000 other American military individuals, Navy, Marine Corps, Army Air Corps, Coast Guard, who, like myself, was on the island of Oahu that morning and survived that event, but who have themselves since passed on. I'm sure that all of you are familiar with the phrase that says, "There is no greater love than is that of those who would lay down their lives to protect that of another." And that's basically what our military members do each and every day, day in and day out. We need, and unfortunately, some of them lose their lives doing so. We gather here today to remember and to honor them and to promise them that they will never, ever be forgotten. As we honor those who have paid the ultimate price, maybe we also ought to take a few moments to think of those among us who pay a daily price. Those of us who will forever bear the burdens of those visible or invisible wounds of war, also gathered while in the preservation of those liberties and those freedoms. For we know the price of liberty and freedom, and we are destined to pay that price day in and day out all the days of our life. It is my hope that we can do so in a patriotic manner as our way of showing our respect and our honor for all those who paid the ultimate price. I am very, very grateful and very, very honored to be here among you today. And people would say, well, that's been a long time ago. Surely people forget as time goes by. But for me, it seems that memory becomes more and more vivid with each and every passing day. When you see a situation similar to that, and you know, like with the Arizona, with one tremendous explosion, over 1,177 lives were lost in that one moment. That raid lasted about 2 hours, 120 minutes. 2,400 people were lost. I think that equates out to about 20 lives for each and every minute that passed. It's a difficult memory to live with, and to try some way to figure out, well, I'm right out there manning a 50 caliber machine gun. I'm a great target, and the machine gun bullets are splattering around me, but I guess none of them had my name on it. Anyway, I'm grateful that they did. I'm past. For those of you who are looking for a very, very convenient way to remember and to honor all those who have given their life in the service of this country, if you will make yourselves available sometime after sunset this evening and sunrise in the morning Find yourselves a vantage point from where you can see the top of Mount Diablo. Then, if you will stand and watch that beacon as it rotates and sends its newer, brighter, and broader beam of remembrance out across all the valleys below, then, if you will put yourselves in the right frame of mind, and if you will listen very, very carefully, not only with your ears, but with respectful hearts and thankful mind, all of those individuals will communicate with you. They will do so in unison, as if with one voice, and their message, their plea, will always be the same. Remember us. Remember us. We gave our lives while in service to you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. 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 Hopefully we'll be back and see you next year. Going to try real hard, you know. I'm only 4 months into my 100th year, so I should make it. No problem. Thank you. Thank you. Was that all right?
That was beautiful. All right. That was.
Done. That's our national treasure, guys.